this one? I don't know. Maybe not. Probably not, honestly. But
Hey, Nick.
they'll be more popular. So.
Hey, Nick, I was thinking after we were done recording, I could go over to your house, and on the way, I could stop at McDonald's and get some Haterade with some fries. Some French fries.
Wait, Haterade? What am I hating on?
Why are you hating?
Dude, none of these are 10 out of 10.
I mean, in this movie, you got, a certified...
Hey everybody, welcome to the Anime Summit Podcast. My name is Nick, and with me I have Sam.
Hey-o!
And Danny.
Heyo!
And I did all that in one breath, believe it or not.
Okay, now take a breath.
In, out trick.
In through your nose,
Woo.
out your butthole.
I feel a little dizzy right now.
Drink some water.
Nick,
It's like
this is
band-
Nick.
It's like band
This is
camp
Nick
all
right
over
before
again.
recording Real Talk. This is Nick. He goes. Takes a deep breath and just farts.
No, I was doing my breathing exercises, and now I'm a little lightheaded. But yeah, so we're talking about anime. We're talking about In This Corner of the World, the movie.
Corner of
This
the world.
episode. Got that to look forward to. But yeah, it's Olympics are going on right now. We got a little bit of news. I'm gonna pitch it over to Sam for the news.
Nick, I'm standing here outside of your house. No, I'm gonna do the news this time because Nick was like, "You want to do the news?" And I was like, "Yeah, bitch." So speaking of Winter Olympics, though, Real Talk, and I don't have TV, so I'm just watching it like as it comes, like on YouTube and whatever. But Yuri on Ice at the Olympics, you knew it was gonna happen, okay? Team Japan.
Yes.
Like if you didn't know,
I saw it. It was amazing.
yeah, I saw it like a couple days later, but it was dope.
I don't watch figure skating, but I heard about it.
It was super sick. I almost kind of want to watch it again after we're done. But yeah, that was super sick. You should go watch that. It's probably on YouTube. It's on Reddit. Whatever.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, we'll
We'll
link
link it.
in the show notes.
Devilman Crybaby. Oh, I didn't have this one open. Here we go.
This is the second piece of news.
Second
by the
piece of
way.
news. Second,
He was not skating in the Olympics.
I was not skating in the Olympics. Devilman was not skating in the Olympics.
Yeah, I said Devilman.
Devilman Crybaby.
Not Sam.
Staff. Okay, why are you yelling at me? Just
Try to keep
lower
up.
your voice. Devilman Crybaby staff says that an anime being Netflix original doesn't translate to better compensation for individual creators. What does that mean?
What does that
Katsunori-
mean, Sam?
Katsunori Shibata is an animator. He worked on Crybaby. He was a storyboard episode director for episodes 2 and 8. On Twitter, he was asked, is it true that the anime being on Buttflix produced didn't mean that there was any difference in wages, compensation, blah, 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 poop, poop, poop? And then he answered, and he was like, from my standpoint, yeah, you're right.
From my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
And Nick also has the high ground. He was also asked...
I got to get my prequel memes in early.
He was also
right?
asked, did you notice any difference when working on a Netflix anime compared to when you did on TV? And also Netflix announced that they will be collaborating with Bones and Production IG. Do you think this will have an impact on animators? He responded by saying there was less restriction on expressions such as depiction of sex and violence and the use of flashing lights. I assume they had decided to collaborate because they had something to gain, but whether that benefits individual animators is up to each anime studio. Yeah, so I don't really think it doesn't make that much of a difference, really, right?
No.
I mean, it's just being broadcasted on a different kind of platform.
Yeah, like Netflix gives them more
Excuse
freedom to do different material,
Right, and
like Devilman, which is violent.
And I think we mentioned
And
that
then-
in our Devilman episode. It was like, oh, well, it's Netflix. So, so there was fucking right away. Boobies right away. It's Netflix. You know what I mean? Like, you have Orange is the New Black, and you have all those other Netflix shows,
Well,
and they just go out there. You know what I mean? They just
Yeah.
don't worry about that stuff.
Each
Yeah.
studio entertainment company has their own standards. Like before Netflix, if you wanted to see something that had sex and blood and curse words in it, you would either go to like HBO, Showtime,
Yeah.
Stars, any of those like sort of I guess like
Wait, are we talking about anime or 3D PD?
just like
here?
any
'Cause
No,
anything in general.
My brain shut
anything in
off.
general.
Excuse me.
So,
Yeah.
like that goes for
Ooh, and the
for-
Spice Channel back in the day.
Yeah, the Spice Channel. Oh my god.
Dude, Me and my friends would watch that like blurred out on the TV because they didn't actually get it, but then they kind of got it. It was like the signal was so shitty, but it was like
Yeah, so you
blurry,
had
and then
white
for, like,
noise.
30 seconds you could see it.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
glorious.
Wait, right at
This is like 2000,
right at
yeah,
1 a.m.
2001.
1:01 a.m. It comes on for like 30 seconds clear.
Oh, dude, and then what were those commercials like Girls Gone Wild?
That guy got arrested, yo.
Dude,
Anyway,
that music though is like a Pavlovian response to me when they start playing those like. I'm just like, oh.
so anyway, that's
Yeah,
what
anyway.
basically what Danny said, and there
Yeah.
there isn't that much of a difference as far as he can tell. But then again, that's just one
But,
guy from one studio, so it's like,
Yeah, someone on Reddit was saying. Well, a lot of people are saying the problem is like all these production committees and middlemen are, these like administrative costs and all this business costs are. It's like bloat, so it's taking all the money away from the creators, the animators. It's not trickling down as it should, which trickle down doesn't work.
yeah, no, it doesn't.
But
yeah,
it's just like the whole Japanese anime industry is like, I don't know, their business practices aren't helpful to the animators, so they need to fix that, and then they can make more money. Mo fucking money.
But Nick, I want to hear more about that on a later episode. Maybe we'll do this topic on it. You should recommend topics on Twitter at Anime Summit on
Dude,
Twitter.
my favorite part of that thread, though, I found a new subreddit. It's called Well, That Sucks. It's my new favorite subreddit. It's fucking funny.
For sure.
Anyway, yeah, next
The
piece of
next
news.
Is let's listen. This is the title of the thing. On Sakuga blog. Let's listen to anime creators for once. Netflix is no savior. Okay? Notflix, more like.
This is like pretty much the same thing we just talked about.
Yeah, it kind of is, isn't it? Like, it's not gonna, Actually, it cites Katsunori Shibata just now, too. It's not, they're saying, because people are like, oh, because it's going to Netflix, right? There's got to be more incentive and more this, more that. That's not really the case, though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, being a different platform to broadcast your show on doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? It just means money's going to someone else and not the people whose channel your TV's on right now, So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Again, it's a production committee thing, not Netflix. Netflix is just like, they're giving them more choices of anime to create,
but
which is good.
But this is an interesting read because it also
More exposure.
It also mentions like Amazon and other things like that. When Nick does the show notes, he'll put the link to this in the show notes so you guys can read it. The next piece of news is like, I don't know if it's really news because everyone's already heard of it, but I don't give a shit. Is the new Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer that just came out with the D23 Expo? Holy shit!
So
Pee my
good.
pants. Pee my pants. Now, if you are like me and Danny and Nick's age, and you are a Kingdom Hearts fan, just like us, maybe not Nick, but maybe me and Danny.
More like Kingdom Farts.
Yeah,
am I
here
right?
we go. Just like me and Danny, you've been waiting for this game since like high school, probably.
Forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
So I mean, there was actually two trailers. It showed Monsters Inc. World, which was super sick.
It showed a couple. Like it showed Monsters Inc. Obviously, we know that Toy Story is going to be in it. There's a glimpse of Rapunzel in it.
There's a
else?
glimpse of Ariel being a summon.
Yes.
And then
which
there was
I'm kind of sad about because Ariel's like one of my favorite princesses, and
well, someone.
I don't know
Oh,
how I
dude,
feel
I'm all about
that.
Belle.
Someone had a theory that in Kingdom Hearts 2, when she's singing the song "Part of That World," and Sora's kind of looking at her like, oh, I feel bad for her, and him summoning her is him taking her to all the other worlds.
Oh,
And it's
okay.
like, that's probably not a real thing, but that'd be really sweet if it was.
Yeah.
But anyway, there was also another trailer that revealed Yutari Hikaru's new song, because she did the songs for the previous games. And it's called Don't Think Twice, and in Japan it's called Oath. And it revealed a little section of the song. And it also, at the end of that song trailer, it revealed Riku and Mickey being at the edge of the the edge of darkness or the edge of the realm, the end of the realm or whatever that's called, and Riku placing his way to the Dawn Keyblade in the ground.
Save it for the Keyblade.
Save it for the
podcast,
Kingdom Farts podcast. You stupid.
Dude,
Please watch.
I zoned out for like the past 3
Please watch
minutes.
it. You're fine. You'll be okay. Please watch the trailer. It's super sick. If you're a Kingdom Hearts fan, you can gush about it with me and Danny on Discord. You should join our Discord. Anyway, here's the next piece of news that Nick just told me literally right before we started recording, and I don't know how I feel about it. I think it's a bad idea. But Shigeru Miyamoto discusses Illumination's Super Mario Brothers film.
Oh, shit.
Can we not? Can we just leave it?
Just leave it alone, man. Leave it alone.
I know you want to hop on the train of Battle Angel Alita, Ghost in the Shell, and other shit that's coming up that's like nerdy adaptation stuff, but can you just not?
You make enough money as it is. You don't need.
You
don't need to branch
It's not about
out.
the money. It's about sending a message.
To whom?
Yeah, exactly.
It's me, Mario. That's the message right
Poor
there.
Bob Hoskins. He passed away in 2014. Just leave the man alone.
They're gonna do a Weekend at Bernie's and just make him act again. You know,
Weekend at Bernie's is
put
fucking
his
funny.
puppet body.
Weekend at Bernie's is so fucking funny.
I still haven't seen that, but I know the
Dude, it's so
reference.
fucking funny.
I need to watch
it's
that.
so fucking
yeah.
funny.
But yeah, the movie's just in planning. It's not
I don't give a shit.
the.
Don't even
It's
plan
an
it.
animated film. So is it even going to be a Mario film, or is it just going to be like Nintendo, whatever?
Well, maybe they're gonna base it on Odyssey, where he like goes in,
Oh, hold on.
where he
so-
goes to like where it's like Super Mario, and he's like in New York, talking to human people.
Yeah, it's looks like it's going to be Mario Brothers franchise, possibly. Anyway, yeah.
You know what?
Mario.
Why don't they just make it be an all 3D animated movie? I would watch that.
If
Oh,
it was a
gross.
3D
Gross.
animation,
Well, if it's like Pixar, then
then that
No,
would
why
be
they-
fine.
no.
Because if they did a 3D animation, they have a lot more variety
no.
and a lot
I think
more
they should.
imagination to do with it.
They should just go back to their roots. Just do the live action, make it as campy as possible, and go for it. Like they need to put this, and they also got to put the script through Google Translator like 2 or 3 times, so that you can't even tell what they're saying.
Jesus Christ.
Just do it. We need more memes. We need some Nintendo memes on the level of prequel memes.
Okay, no, don't be looking for memes right now. Anyway, the next piece of news is
Do it for the memes.
okay. No, just
Are we done with news yet? Jesus
no.
Christ! I thought that was
Last
it.
piece of news. It's not that big of a deal. Relax.
Oh my god.
We'll just put this in the show notes. I'm not gonna say much about it, but the live action trailer for the Inuyashiki movie came out. Looks super dope. If you watch the anime,
It looks pretty decent.
it looks pretty decent. Anyway, well, Nick will put that in the show notes for you. Now, on to Waifu of the Week. Okay, obviously.
Gee, I wonder who we're gonna pick based on our topic.
Based on our on our topic, we chose Suzu Hojo Urano from In This Corner.
In this corner of the world, or Kono Sekai no Katsumi ni.
No, dude, you're doing it wrong, dude. It's
You gotta sound like a yakuza every time.
fucking like Mimasaka from Food Wars. Whenever he would talk, when he was talking to Soma, Yuki.
Is he like the big guy who copies everybody?
Yeah, actually, he becomes a good guy in the 3rd season, which is sick.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Spoilers. Anyway.
spoilerinos. But yeah, Suzu. Okay, you know why? Because she's a badass. She's an artist. She loves her family.
Also, she's literally a wife.
She's
in the
literally
movie.
waifu.
She's just an ordinary woman.
Waifu.
She's like ultra ordinary, except she's good at art. But yeah,
Waifu.
dude. Yeah, and she has large hands too. Good for working. You know,
Good for other things.
Fucking Nick
you
is
can-
in like he's in the chorus like
you can put her to work.
she's got
Put her to work.
nice elbows.
She is strong like ox. That is strong like bull.
Oh my god. Save it for the
Plow the
Soviet
field.
Union.
Yeah, save it for the Zangief
Podcast.
podcast. Jeez. Listen, here's the main topic then, okay? In This Corner of the World. It's a movie. It came out in 2016 in June. It was co-released by Funimation.
Yeah, it wasn't released until 2017 in the in this corner of the world wasn't released in this corner of the world until 2017. So, yeah. We had to do it. Sorry.
Had to do it. It's based on a manga.
So technically it's 2017 film. It's like eligible for it's one of those like awkward timing things, or like kind of like Your Name, like all those movies from that year.
Yeah.
Where like they came out in Japan in 2016.
Yeah.
And then they didn't come out elsewhere until later because of various red tape and other BS.
Yeah.
It's normal. It's normal
Basically,
BS.
we're gonna consider this a 2017 anime, like in terms of like being able to watch it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because right now you can get it on YouTube Movies, or you can buy it on Amazon. It's really easy to find it.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so
And that's how we were.
very affordable.
That's how we were able to watch it. And that's why Nick was like, "Oh, but this manga, we want to watch this movie."
Or you can watch it on the high seas with really bad subtitles.
I told Nick to psalm the fuck down. I said, "Psalm down, dude. It's gonna be okay." But it's based on a manga, illustrated by Fumio Kono, written and illustrated by Fumio Kono. Sorry. It ran from 2007 to 2009 in weekly manga action.
An auction action.
Action.
An action auction. There we go.
Nice. I'm about that. You know what was weird though? Because it was translated by J Manga here, and they kind of like translated the title literally, so it said to all. It was called To All the Corners of the World on J Manga, and then people got confused because they thought they were different and shit. Like
Really?
Yeah, they thought they were. They were like, oh, this isn't in this corner of the world, right? This is something else. And it's like, no, it's the same thing. And it wasn't that long. It wasn't that big of a confusion, obviously, the way I'm making it sound. But, you know, people are stupid. They don't do research. Anyway, we watched this movie.
Speaking of not doing research.
I know.
How's it going?
We watched this movie, and basically, to summarize it real quick, it follows the accounts of Suzu. And,
ANN has a good summary of it.
Yeah. Wait, well, who has a good summary of it?
I would say ANN and probably Wikipedia have a better summary than Mal.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not on.
Mal summaries are just...
Yeah, Mal summaries are never good. But anyway...
I'm over
the
those.
film is set
Okay, so this film takes place in the 1930s to the 1940s, which is in Hiroshima and Korea, Japan.
Period.
So it pretty much takes place in World War II. A woman named Suzu, a quiet, calm girl who loves to draw, grew up by the seaside in Iba. She had an arranged marriage from a man whom they only met once from their childhood. While he was visiting Iba, the film the film follows Suzu's daily life after her marriage and the struggles that happened during World War II. So it's pretty much kind of like a a war movie mixed in with some slice of life.
Yep. It's a less in-your-face war drama. It's closer to a slice of life than something like Grave of the Fireflies, which we covered in one of our Ghibli episodes. Shout out to that.
Ghibli.
Yeah, I like the way that this is shot. You know, it's not in the action; it's next to the action. You know? That's a cool concept that like I don't think is explored enough, and I think you can do like a lot with that too. You can have like comedies with that, like
there were some funny moments in the film.
And not even just about this topic, but any topic. You could have like, oh, there's this big thing going on, and I don't know, like let's say like Sword Art Online. Like you could have a different story taking place next to them, and like they're just getting pissed off that their shit's getting busted all the time, or, you know, that type of thing. And I don't know. That's just I just like the idea of having it next to it, not in it.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. It's a kind of a form of executing and telling a story that not a lot of people seem to take advantage of. I feel like more people would get into that. I think because I really like that. The way you explain it is probably the best way to explain it. But yeah,
you got to be. Well, the thing is, you got to be familiar with the main source of the action, which most people are. Like most people know that the atomic bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Well, and that's what I was going to get to next is and because before we go any further, though the story is a fictional account, the events in the background of the story are based on facts. And
they did a lot of research.
The production team did so much research. They talked to people about the memories of people who went through the bomb, the attack, and they resurrected Hiroshima in animation using old photos, documents.
Well, actually, it was.
They interviewed people too.
Yeah, it was actually really hard for them to reanimate Hiroshima, because there wasn't really a lot of existing like survival photos from that time because of what happened in Hiroshima. I read that in Anime News Network interview.
Right.
So like it was pretty much it was like word of mouth.
A lot of it was word of mouth.
So like most of the research that they did were from like the parents who were children at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The memories
and the
of
movie
people,
is kind of the movie kind of looks like that too. It's almost kind of drawn in a cartoony style.
Yes,
like a kid would draw.
It's very,
and like Suzu draws
it's
actually.
very
like it's
subtle.
drawn how she would draw it.
It's a very subtle like ink work, really. It's not too harsh. It's
painterly.
very fine.
That's the word everybody
very
likes.
Fine lines. So it reminds
it has
it's
like
pretty much like
pastel colors.
It's like it's a Ghibli movie, but not.
Kinda.
So.
It's not. It doesn't look as good as a Ghibli movie. Like it's not animated to that degree, but it's still
I don't
like.
know. I think it's better.
You get the idea.
Opinion.
No,
and I love
like,
Ghibli films.
Because no, I'm talking about just the animation. Like, if you look at a Ghibli film, every scene is action. It's almost like a live action movie where like there's movement all around every single frame. This one, there's a few short moments where there's like some stills, and that's fine.
Right.
I don't really care that much.
So anyway, but before we jump around too much,
yeah.
The thing is we're not here to tell you about the bombing of Hiroshima. Okay, like that's
not really. It's not like a political thing. It's not a war thing. Although
that's just where the Hiroshima bombing, it killed a lot of people, a lot of them civilians. Anyway, the thing is that's the background of the character we are following, and that has a lot of effect on what we're following and stuff.
And like some people have complained that this movie is kind of what's the word as paints like Japan as the victim, when in reality they committed like some horrible war atrocities, some of the worst war crimes. But that's not what the movie's about. This is just one little area showing that could happen to anybody or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's not about the other aspects of the war, which were like super messed up.
Right. So
that's why it's kind of like a slice of life, because you really don't see war. The only thing that you do see that's related to the war is the air raids. That's pretty much about it. You don't see a lot of
well, there's some stuff at the end, especially in the last like third or the last half of the movie.
Yeah, like the second half of the movie. The
second half has more.
It does get a little
direct.
bit more dark and sad.
Yeah.
So I do want to just a couple more little bits of trivia before we get into Suzu and her life and the amazing life she lived. This movie was actually crowdfunded.
Yes,
it began crowdfunding. It was announced 2012. It began crowdfunding in 2015. It exceeded its goal by 19 million yen. Its goal was 20 million, and they got 39 million.
Which is awesome.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's super crazy. And also, what was the other bit of trivia? I had it written down right in front of me. Oh,
how much is 29 million yen? That's like $2 million, $3 million or something.
Something like actually that's pretty close.
Because I think for reference, Spirited Away was like $10 million. So just gives a reference point. Like Ghibli is pretty much the gold standard of movie animation for anime,
Yeah.
and this is not. I mean, they're not Ghibli.
Right.
So the budget.
Don't go in expecting some kind of masterpiece animation. That's not what this is about.
The budget for
It's good
this
though.
Film,
It still looks good.
For the budget for this film, in U.S. dollars, is $2 million.
Yeah, so that's like for an animated movie, that's really cheap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with how they executed the animation of this. Anyway, another thing too, it's just to piggyback off what Danny said before we get into it, about it being kind of a slice of life, is in the manga, every chapter doesn't have, and the movie does this too, which is kind of cool. Every chapter doesn't have a name. Every chapter is a date.
Yes.
So it's like August 6th and 9th of 1945, whatever. So it's almost like you're reading a journal or a diary of sorts with pictures, you know. And I think the movie captures that very well. One following the account of Suzu. And it's almost like as if Suzu was a real person, which was kind of cool. But anyway, to get into the...
Who
Go ahead,
directed
go
this film? Who directed the film?
It was Sunao Katabuchi.
Yeah, Kotobuchi.
He's
Okay.
57
Oh, and
years old.
just to cover my ass, Spirited Away was roughly $18 million. So it was like 8 or 9 times as much budget.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, Sunao Katabuchi. He's done. He was an assistant director to Kiki's.
Oh, Black Lagoon. He's known for Black
Yeah,
Lagoon.
he was an
Yes,
assistant director to
yeah.
Kiki's Delivery Service, but he's most known for Black Lagoon.
I thought I had
And he
that
was
written
also
down.
the writer and director for Ace Combat 4: Shattered Skies, which is a pretty sick game.
Oh, and then he directed Princess already. Okay, I was confusing that with Arrietty. I don't know why. Sounds the
It's
same.
weird because his like log of stuff looks kind of small, but then it's like he's won a shit ton of awards. Like holy crap!
He does like
Yeah.
he's not really like from when I finished watching the movie and I was doing a little bit of research. Kotobuchi, he didn't really do a lot of directorial he didn't do a lot of directing. He did a lot of like producing and being like assistant director and like all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, with anime, like most of the directors are pretty old.
yeah.
They're in their 40s, 50s, 60s. And like somebody like Makoto Shinkai is the exception
Mm-hmm.
because he's relatively young.
Makoto Shinkai.
Um,
He was a director for this movie called The Blinkins.
All right.
I Google imaged it, and the first thing that popped up was this puffy owl-looking creepy thing. Anyway, The Blinkins.
Is that Goku-sen or something different?
No,
I'm
it's
looking
like
at
an
something different.
American cartoon movie. It looks like on some Rainbow Bright shit. Okay, anyway. Listen, let's talk about the film a little bit. In This Corner of the World, it's based on a manga. Yeah, we figured that out. We know that. It's great. But what did you guys think of the film? Animation. What do you think about how the story progressed? Suzu, the depictions of things. What were your thoughts? Because me and Danny had a little convo before recording about this movie, and I have a lot of things written down here, obviously, but I'm very
do
curious
too.
to hear Nick's opinion. Very curious.
Go ahead, Nick. You start off first.
Clear my throat a little bit.
Fucking,
Well, yeah. So in This Corner of the World, so we watched like I just liked comparing it to the other big movies that came out that year. That would be Your Name and A Silent Voice.
okay, yeah.
And honestly, like, while the other two had better animation, especially A Silent Voice because it's Kino animation, I think that this movie is probably going to be a little more classic. Like, not in the sense that Your Name, it's not going to be ever as popular as Your Name, and probably it might not even be as popular as Silent Voice, but like, it just has so few holes to poke in it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can look at those other two movies and find all these flaws, and they got a lot of really high points too. But like, I'm just saying, this movie is it plays everything like really subtle a little bit, because with the slice of life elements, as we were mentioning, they don't really have like this, this direct story, solid, story structure type thing. It's a little bit meandering, and I kind of like that. I'm like a big fan of slice of life anime. Some of my favorites are like Aria and Nanan Biori, that type of thing. Obviously, this one's a little more grim than those, but I don't know. I really like the movie. I think it has like a lot of a different feel than those other ones. It's not as like exciting and like, what's the word for it? Fantastically directed. They kind of, what's the word? They kind of play it straight a little bit, but I like that too. So
well, the movie was based on facts.
Yeah,
So-
no, I'm saying in terms of just the directing, because you compare it to, especially like A Silent Voice, they had some really like powerful directing moments, but like, I just think this one had the most solid structure, if that makes sense, even though it kind of lacked a structure. I really liked how
Maybe it was to you. It was you could say, it was put together a little more solid in terms of execution.
and yet not really that solid too. The thing about those other movies and a lot of movies is that they try to like really shove the themes down your throat, and this one doesn't. This one kind of has them in the background. Like there's a scene at the end of the movie where, after the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima, you see these characters are talking in a building, and this huddled blackened figure is crouching outside the building. You remember that? And then there's just people talking inside. Nobody notices the person, and they just die. But they, if in Grave of the Fireflies, you'd be seeing their skin flaking
Spoiler
off and
alert.
stuff like that. It'd be, yeah. Well, I won't say like who the person might have been or whatever, but it's
Fucking Danny.
it's somebody from Hiroshima. It's not
People
it's
dying.
Not like one of-
Spoilers.
yeah, it wasn't one of the main characters, but like, this one just kind of has it as a fact of life that happened, and the people are, they're sad and all that, but they have to like keep living and all, and I just like, I like not having stuff shoved in my face, which is what the other movies did. And like at the moment, I really loved Your Name and Silent Voice. I like them in the moment, but thinking back on them, it's like, are they going to be as timeless as this one? I don't know. Maybe not. Probably not, honestly. But
Hey Nick.
they'll be more popular. So.
Hey Nick. I was thinking after we were done recording, I could go over to your house, and on the way, I could stop at McDonald's and get you some haterade with some fries, some French fries.
Wait, haterade? What am I hating on?
Why you hating?
Dude, none of these are 10 out of 10.
I mean, in this movie, got a certified fresh tomato on Rotten Tomatoes.
It got some
Rotten Tomatoes.
It got some ketchup.
So
But no. Rotten Tomatoes aside, though.
We should all trust Rotten Tomatoes.
Rotten Tomatoes aside, though, it got 8 awards.
yeah, it did.
Yeah, it actually won awards over Your Name and A Silent Voice.
It
Best
did.
Same
Best Director at the
Yeah.
Kinema Junpo Awards. It got the Ofuji Noboru Award at the Mainichi Film Awards. Best Director, Best Film, Best Animation at other Academy Awards and shit like that. I mean, I don't know.
I'm gonna read a little quote from a critic.
Do it.
It says,
Some slam poetry.
one critic said, in this corner of the world, in this corner of the world offers a unique ground level perspective on an dramatized period in history, further distinguished by a beautiful hand-drawn animation. So,
Wait, which critic was that? Just so we give.
I
them
don't.
credit.
I don't. Unfortunately, I don't know. It didn't say. It didn't say. Who.
Oh, was it one of those like?
It was like an anonymous kind of thing.
Okay, it was one of those like book cover critics
Yeah.
where they just kind of
Yeah.
put a quote out there.
Yeah.
Okay,
So. But I think.
that's basically what I said.
Yeah. But I think it how they made this film is pretty much what that critic exactly said. You know, it wasn't overbearing anything. Like, it wasn't in your face. It was very subtle. There were some parts that I didn't like. It was for me watching this film, it was kind of hard for me to relate in a sense because it's a different culture. But I'm also thankful for this movie that it was made so that I have a better understanding on how Japanese folk dealt with during that period in such a traumatic time. So, but like I didn't really like. I was so shocked at when Suzu was drawing in her pad of the sea skyline with all the warships and stuff, and the military police confiscated her drawing pad and stuff. I was just like, oh my god, that's insane.
That part was actually one of the comedy moments too, because they accused her of espionage for drawing the coastline.
Yeah,
and then
being
the whole
spy.
family knew that she was such.
She's so innocent.
She's such like an airhead.
Yeah, she's so innocent.
That she couldn't have possibly done anything.
Yeah, and
Right.
and I kind of liked that, you know, the family tried not to laugh during like the scolding of the military police, like, you know, how they were saying like, oh, she's married into the family, they can't be trusted, and it's all like, are you kidding me? Like,
Right.
This girl is an airhead. So
Yeah.
Something that I kind of I was listening to another podcast talk about this movie, and one thing that on it was AWO, I think it was called.
Yep.
The girl, I think, what's her name, Courtney, or I think her name is. She's on that podcast.
I believe so.
She made a point.
I'm not 100%.
She made a pretty good point about literally what Danny just said was, you know, like, we're watching this movie or reading the manga and we're seeing the dates, right? Now, of course, in school, in high school, we learned about these dates and the importance of them and stuff like that. But, you know, that's not something we remember as much as Japanese folk would, people
Right.
who live in Japan would, you know. So, you know, their experience watching it or reading it, as the date comes on the screen, they're like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, and
I was like that too, except I wasn't sure of the exact date of the bomb.
yeah, me. I just knew it was. I just remembered it was.
I didn't actually look it up until after, but yeah.
I just remembered that it was in the summer. I didn't know when. You know, because I don't remember that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's just I don't remember it. You know, these guys, in Japan, you know, when they're watching it, they have a different. Of course, they remember it. They know the exact dates of when shit went down. So their experience watching it is, I can't ever experience that. I don't know that. You know what I mean? And that's, it's just kind of a cool thing to think about, is all. But I think that was another reason why it was cool that they did that for the manga chapters, and, you know, when the movie progressed to a new section or a new arc, it had those dates appear on the screen and stuff. But
I also
and
sorry.
no, I was
sorry,
done.
real
I'm sorry,
quick.
go ahead.
When they had the dates, they actually matched the weather of those days too. In the interviews when we were doing the research, they talked about that. Like they had to, I think in the manga they mentioned like there's one scene that was rainy that they actually had to change to sunny because that was the weather that day. Like that's how well researched the film
No
is.
way.
So every single date is that weather of that day in that year.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that's pretty cool.
I also like agree on like most of the parts that the the AWO podcast was saying, that like if I showed this movie to my grandfather, he would probably like have a more relatable connection towards it because he was alive during that time. So
right.
and
Yeah.
I read in an interview article that when this film debuted at, what was it, Otakon? Was it Otakon that this debuted?
That sounds right. I'm not 100%, but I think that's right.
I can't remember, but they had the movie debut at a con, and after the movie they had like a Q&A, and they stated that in the Q&A most of the older folk that like brought their kids to the con stayed for the Q&A, which I thought was pretty cool because they kind of like related to the film a little bit more than younger folk like us, like our age would. Because
that is just
all the damn millennials.
Yeah.
Can't appreciate history.
I mean, I appreciate history.
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
This movie kind of taught history too. It's like a mini history lesson,
yeah.
which is nice. Like it, it's entertaining, but it also gets that across. So
that kind of makes me think of which teachers that I have in high school that would be like, "Oh, we should watch this movie." Like, you know what I mean?
I think pretty much any historian teacher would appreciate this film.
I think so too. I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
I feel like Mr. Top, my social studies teacher in junior high, he would make us watch this movie because he was cool like that. But anyway, shout out to Mr. Top.
No, dude, he'd make you watch Redline.
Dude, yeah, Mr. Top was crazy. He was cool though. Anyway, but no, that's really interesting. That's actually super sick. That,
I kind of want to show this film to my grandfather just to see, like,
just to
his
see, like,
yeah, just like to see
make
his
sure
reactions
it's
and
the
stuff.
subtitle though. Like
He's not gonna.
honestly,
I don't know if he'll be able to follow that. To
yeah,
be
I guess
quite
if
honest,
if it's hard to like read it, I don't know.
He's
all I'm
he's
saying
kind of
though,
old. He's pretty old.
the ultimate experience is the subtitle. We should mention, like, this is like a period piece taking place in Japan at Hiroshima. Like, it just feels wrong to watch it in English.
Yeah.
And also, I think the Japanese voice actors did a really good job too. Like, the dub is fine. It sounds okay. I don't really have a problem
It's
with it, other than
acceptable.
it doesn't make sense in the context of the story to have people talking in English, and that like throws me off. So I I watched part of it in dub, and then I just watched the whole movie in sub, because same thing with Grave of the Fireflies. Like, that's makes the most sense,
right.
I watched both because I have no life.
Because I have no life. So I guess.
But in my defense, I did watch it sub first. Just saying.
Yeah, I especially like Suzu's voice actress. Laura Post was the English one. The Japanese one, Reina Naunen. I butchered that name. It's pronounced Noun. But looks like this is her only anime role too.
Yeah,
so
she
sounded,
didn't really like do a lot of animation.
Yeah, she sounded
like
kind of like the guy in Erased. Like they took an actor who wasn't an anime voice actor and threw him in there, and it kind of stands out a little bit. And in this movie, it made more sense to me than in Erased, where it's like you had one non-anime actor and then everyone else was anime voices, so it sounded like a little out of place. But yeah, like, because I compared a couple of scenes where there's one where she's about to have her first night with her new husband, and she's like starting to take off her kimono and all that, and he asks her a question, and she answers, and she says yes, but like in the English, there's not as much subtlety.
With the umbrella is
the umbrella is like, do you have an umbrella or whatever? And then the English scene is not as it's just not as well acted. Like, they did an okay job, but like the way she did it in Japanese was like she had like some waveriness. She sounded nervous like in Japanese, but not in the English version. I don't know. That's just a little thing.
Well, you also have to put into consideration that English voice actors have to match the flaps.
Well, no, but she was turned around though in this exact scene.
Yeah, but
you didn't
still,
even see
they kind of like, either way, you still have to like match flaps and everything like that. And translation to Japanese to English is different, so they have to compromise.
But I'm just saying, aside from any of that, the Japanese voice actors did a better job. Like, and I think that's usually the case in most anime. Some of them is like ghost stories, like you got to watch the English, but like in a lot of stuff, the Japanese just they do a better job. They're like more professional about it. Because like I think they get paid more than English voice actors, like relatively.
I don't
if I
think
remember
so,
correctly.
because
I think they do.
Japanese animators don't get paid a lot.
No, not the animators, the voice actors. Because if you guys remember Shirobako, right? They have like the hierarchy of pay and everything, and the voice actors are like at the top, even above the directors and stuff. It's crazy. 'Cause
Shirobako,
they're
more
the
like
stars.
shitty taco. Am I right?
Well, I suppose that's
They're like
that's
yeah,
kind
they're
of
like
true in
celebrities.
fact because they're pretty much the people. They're pretty much the quote unquote faces of the anime because they're giving their voice to give this character life. You know?
Yeah, and they sell anime based 100% on voice actors. Like Osamatsu-san was popular 100% just because it had famous voice actors in
Right.
it, and like you don't see that in English. They're like, oh, we have
aside
Chris
from
Sabat,
Disney
like,
when
you
they
know.
do Studio Ghibli shit. So
But the actors don't sell the movie. It's Ghibli that sells it. So
yeah.
I don't know. It's just like a difference, and that's why like that's another reason I was just going on my little rant here that like why the Japanese voices are better. In addition to making more sense with the story.
Can you guys not do the dub versus sub? Like, are you?
For this movie, there's only one option.
I mean,
all right, Sam?
yes, no, I do agree with Nick on the whole like sub thing
I
about
was just
this
kidding.
movie. So
It's funny because like it shouldn't need to be said, but people are going to be like, "Oh, just watch the dub." Like people don't really think about stuff. So
It's just funny because like this. I
I'm saying
know
it
this is
anyway.
gonna be like an on-running joke now between Danny and Nick. It's just like
I like both. I like subs and dubs.
Nick yelling
but
at
you
Danny
gotta
for
pick 'em right.
watching the more inferior version of it.
Dude, don't even trigger me right now. All right.
sometimes
I'll trigger you.
it
I'll
is
trigger you right now.
needed.
Trevor watching Yu Yu Hakusho.
So
Oh my
subbed.
God.
That's like
That's still not as bad as K-On! Dubbed. I'm sorry.
like
That's
no. That's like
that's
saying
an atrocity.
That's like saying Trevor should watch Cowboy Bebop sub.
No, because that's bad, but that's not as bad as watching K-On! Dub. Like, what are you doing?
Whatever, man.
It loses all their
we're
cuteness.
not talking about K-On! right
Filthy
now.
gaijin actors can
Filthy
never
gaijin.
capture
We're
the
not
cuteness
talking about K-On! You
Of
glorious
guys, you
Nippon.
guys have already discussed K-On! This is not the K-On! hour.
Let's save it for the K-On! podcast, Nick.
This is in this
Yeah.
corner of the
We
world
should have one of
hour.
those.
We should.
We actually could save it for the K-On! podcast.
Oh, we'll revisit K-On! I don't mind doing that.
I don't know. Maybe.
Danny's
Yeah.
like, I'm not gonna be part of that. I'm good.
I said I don't mind doing that.
Oh yeah, you should do. Yeah, we should. We should. Here's the thing. Okay. Other than all of the crazy cool stuff that we talked about up until this point, did I enjoy the film? Me, Sam, the bomb, the turkey.
Did
top.
you? Did you enjoy the film? I want to know.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a little. I don't know. It was a little boring for me. I don't know.
Yeah, it's slow.
Yeah, and
It goes at a deliberate pace.
and I know why.
It's like
yeah,
she's
it's
writing
like,
in her journal.
That's not like it's presented in a certain way, you know, and I can't fault him for that. You know what I mean? That I think the reason that I may not have enjoyed it as much as I thought, as much is probably just because that's just a me thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like because I can
Well,
still
you
like I
you
just
prefer the more melodramatic stories, right? And like I don't say that in a bad way. You know, I like a lot of stuff like that too.
no,
I'm saying, like,
you're absolutely right. No, you know my
you
anime
like it
watching
when
habits.
it's
You've known it for the
more
past however many years now. You know, it's just
when it's more like bright and out there a little bit.
And I mean I love everything else about it. You know, I love the animation. I love the transitional paintings and like there's that one scene where the air raids were happening on March 10th.
Oh, the very first air raid that they
Yeah.
had.
There was when the explosions in the air were like very colorful, and it was because it's like she was painting it, you know.
Yeah, I really
Well,
love
it
that, and
seemed
then the
like-
rabbits as well.
It seemed like that
Oops.
Suzu was painting her
Yeah.
her experience, which to me personally, I don't think they had the intention of making it seem like it was a biography film. But at that particular scene, that's exactly what it felt like. And
Yeah.
also another scene, a very impactful scene that happened.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to say because
Spoiler.
that's not cool.
Oh, yeah, we're not doing any hard spoilers.
No, I
or-
don't want to do any hard spoilers.
I don't think we really need to.
We don't
I
really
mean,
need
it's-
to with this movie. Yeah, no, I think if you're gonna watch this movie, you should just watch it.
Well,
you know.
then the particular scene that I'm talking about, I feel like should not be given away.
Yeah, no. I know what
So.
you're talking. I feel you, girl. I feel you. But
Yeah.
so I guess here's
Well,
here's the
what do you guys think? So, like, going back to the paintings, I had a little bit of internet lag, so I missed a little bit of what you guys said. Did you guys mention the rabbits?
Oh
She
yeah, the
was-
rabbits on
she
the
painted
waves.
yeah. She painted the picture for her friend as a kid,
Yeah.
Right.
and then
right.
he sent that to like a competition and won an award. But
Well,
he didn't
actually,
paint it.
no. The school.
The teacher did.
The teacher said that it was so good that they entered it into a contest, but like he didn't really like didn't know how to react to it because like he didn't actually draw it. He didn't want to, first of all, like he didn't want to do that assignment, you know, like his brother passed away and all that kind of stuff, so like he was still upset about that, and like he didn't want to go home because his parents were drunks. So
Yeah, what was his name again?
it was, I will tell you in a minute, hold on.
He joined the Navy later on.
His name was
Tetsu?
Mizuhara.
Yep.
Oh wait, no, Tetsu was her husband.
No.
That's
No,
No.
Tetsu was her friend.
Tetsu was her childhood friend and also had a crush on him.
Wait a second.
Shisaku was her husband.
Shizaku
confused.
Hojo.
This is why you watch the English, so they just name him Bob and stuff. Come on.
Jesus Christ.
Fuck.
Either Bob. All right. Yeah. So Tetsu, he like just took the picture from her, and like what I liked about it is he mentioned the rabbits. He could see like rabbits on the waves,
Yeah.
and it was kind of like a symbol of peace. That's like basically what rabbits are. I was like did a little bit of a very quick look up on it, which was basically what was happening. Like at the time she painted that, it was in the 30s. They weren't at war yet,
Yeah.
so the rabbits were peace. And then later on, her art turned into like the planes, like the blots. You know, like she'd be drawing those, because that was like the wartime and all that. No more rabbits and everything. Like she was drawing the harbor with like the Yamato.
Mm-hmm.
So like her art changed a little bit. I really liked that's what I'm gonna remember from this movie is like the rabbits on the waves. I just like that.
Yeah, I know.
Pretty
I liked it
awesome.
too because I knew there was like there had to be a theme to that, so I looked it up too.
I think it was just like peace. It was like
Yeah, it wasn't anything crazy like I thought it was, but that little part where like he's kind of walking towards like the water,
Oh,
and then it
yeah,
starts
that
turning
was the
into
best.
the painting. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love
and
that shit.
Yeah.
He was
Oh,
all
God,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, I guess I have to hand this in now."
Right, yeah, right.
It's like this isn't what I wanted, but thanks anyway.
Yeah, I kind of liked his story. He reminded me of one of the side characters in Ping Pong the animation, where they kind of just accept their fate. He's from like this broken family, and he's basically forced into the military. And like, you know, when she bumps into him, kind of early on, like she's summoned by her husband to get married,
Oh, again.
and she bumps into him,
Again.
and she thinks he's the husband for a second.
Yeah, and
And then-
he's all like, "What? No."
She's like, well, I like the scene because like she says, oh, you probably would like my sister anyway. She's prettier. And then as he's walking away, he says, I don't think so.
Yeah.
You know, but because he knows that he can't really marry her. Like it's not in the cards for him.
It made me
Um,
kind of sad that they weren't going to get together. So like, oh.
Yeah. And then like later on they meet up again, and you know he's just like, it's good to be alive because he just sees everybody die around him, you know. So he's kind of the flip side to her life a little bit in some ways. Obviously everyone has their troubles and everything, and there's some stuff that happens at the end of the movie that's, you know, everyone's, you know, struggling and dealing with rations
Right.
and all, and scrimping and recycling and all that. But she, relative to others, she actually is able to live a somewhat regular life. So
Right.
Yeah.
And going off of that, the relationship that Suzu has with her husband, because how they met was pretty much an arranged marriage.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, they never really, like, the only time that they actually interacted was in their childhood, and that was only once. So, like, after that experience, they never saw each other again until he came back to marry her. So, the whole arranged marriage thing was, like, I was completely in awe with it because, like, how it, like, panned out in a sense. And when I saw it, when I noticed that, and when she finally when she did go to his house to get married and stuff like that, I thought it was pretty, like, I thought what was going to happen, like, it was going to be kind of like a Cinderella thing where, like, the family was going to treat her like shit and, like, everything like that. But it completely did a 180, and, like, the family was very accepting of her, and they noticed that she was an airhead and everything like that. So, and she was ordinary, and they accepted that she liked to doodle in notepads and stuff. Like, they didn't really, like, scold her about that. Especially her husband. Like, when her husband found out that the military confiscated her drawing pad, like, he gave her a new one and said, you know, this may be a little small for you to, like, draw landscapes, but, you know, it's something.
I loved that.
Yeah, yeah.
I loved that so much.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cute.
I don't know if I'm, like, reading too much into it, but, like, do you guys think that he picked Suzu because she was kind of the opposite of his... That was his older sister, right? The one who was mean at the start?
Yes. Yeah. Keiko.
Do you think that he picked Suzu because she was, like, almost the opposite to Keiko? I got the hint of that. I mean, you know, she fit his personality too, but maybe I'm reading into it.
No, that definitely could be. That's like a thing that happens.
Because Keiko mentions she wanted, like, a sophisticated girl as his wife or whatever,
yeah.
And he obviously didn't. Like, he appreciates the simple things, so...
Right.
I was also kind of a little upset that you didn't really see a lot of their relationship, you know, like, their development. It was a lot like it kind of got me mad in a sense, because being a woman and, like, seeing a husband not really, like, I guess, like, helping out, because I'm independent and I'm so used to doing things on my own, and that's just me personally. And just seeing Suzu's husband, you know, get up in the morning, eat breakfast, go to work, then come back home, lay around drinking beer or whatever that he does. You barely see him.
He helped them with the bomb shelter.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But, like, I don't know. It kind of,
and
like...
he was working. Like, it was the traditional gender roles of the society at the time. Like, you can't blame them.
No, I know you can't blame them. It's just, it's a personal feeling that I get every time I see something like that.
It's like a win-win. It was a win-win for them because they needed her to look after the home, and they needed him to bring in money.
Right.
So, for that time, it was the best solution. So, yeah.
I just feel like, you know, there had to, like, I would have liked to see more of the two of them by themselves, like the first night that she slept at the house. You know,
I think they had a lot of good moments.
They did have a lot of good moments, but I feel like
he went on a date with her.
I feel like they didn't have enough though. But that, I don't really count that as a date though, because they couldn't really, like, do anything because of the freaking sailors.
I know that was the point. That was the point of the movie.
I don't know.
Like, it's nothing extravagant.
They just
kind of make do with what they have, and they're thankful for what they have.
What I wanted to see, because since this was an arranged marriage, I wanted to see a development. You know, like, I wanted to see conversations, intimate conversations between the two of them, getting to know each other because it's an arranged marriage.
You wanted to see something come out of it because it was forced.
Yes,
but
I didn't really
argue...
I didn't really see any not like progression, because every time they were in a room together, they barely talked to one another, and that kind of got me upset.
The thing is, I would argue that that's a cultural thing, at least at that point in time in Japan. I don't 100% know, but I think that there wasn't a lot of like overt romantic gestures back then. Not as much. Obviously, during the war, probably went crazy a little bit, but like with the sailor, he was like making passes at Suzu, but like
but she didn't go
I don't think that was really the
it,
point.
You know?
Yeah, no, and that was the point. Like she was thankful for her life, and he was thankful for his, and like they didn't need to have like some extravagant Disney style romance. You know, that wasn't really what the movie's all about. It's more about like family and, you know, and sacrificing a little bit to live with what you got, you know?
Right.
And, you know, I just don't think this is really a romance movie. It has a little bit of that in it, but it's not the main point.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does make sense. Isn't. Yeah. Like I definitely appreciate, because, you know, the whole romance thing isn't really the main topic of the movie, which I get, because this movie is about Suzu living her ordinary life and struggling through World War II. You know?
Yeah.
That like also pans out, you know, with food supplies. You know, food supplies became less and less as the war continued, you know? An example, sugar. They couldn't buy sugar anymore. The only time, like, and when, you know, the ants, like, got a hold of the sugar.
Oh, that was
and,
funny.
Yeah, that one was, that little moment was pretty sweet with the niece and everything.
Well, like, they what was the word for it? They had, like, a little on-running thing with the sugar where she talked to Keiko later on, and they're reminiscing about sweets like watermelon.
Yes,
and
she
ice
drank,
cream.
and she
takes a drink of it.
Water, and hit their sugar in the water.
She's like, "Oh, just remembering makes the water taste sweeter."
Yeah.
And it just kind of goes on, like nobody notices, like. Yeah.
But like, when that happens, you know, when the sugar got dumped, like sank into the water, and they went to the mother-in-law, she was all like, here, take this money and go to the black market and buy sugar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's just insane. That
Mm-hmm.
was just like, oh my God, like, that's a struggle, you know? And to even like, you know, they had lessons, you know, less food and everything like that, so they had to compromise on the food that they needed to eat.
Yeah, they had to like make soups out of everything and use extra water and all that. So like a lot of rationing, a lot of all that. So like, what did you guys? I guess like, what did you think were the main themes, and then what? Well, I guess we kind of discussed the main themes already, but do we have any like final thoughts or any shout outs or closing comments?
I'll just say this, right? For even if I didn't enjoy the film as much as I thought I may have, I still take away this, and this is something that I kind of grasped from the design and animation of the film. But the way it was presented, it sheds a very, very soft and colorfully vibrant look on a film that is depicted during a time of war. And I think that's something that I need myself, that I need to look at things differently, try and look at things with more vibrancy and things like that, you know what I mean? Because it was such a beautifully colored movie.
Yeah, it really was.
For something that was where the background was wartime, you know what I mean?
Right.
Where thousands and thousands and thousands of people died, you know?
Well, millions,
yeah. I meant within the bombing.
And people were injured and everything like that.
Yeah.
I think there were like. So I think wasn't there over 1 million? Anyway, there's a lot.
That's kind of my takeaway from it, and I think in that sense, it even from me deserves a pretty high score just because of that takeaway, personal takeaway.
So, what would you rate it on the Nabisco scale?
I give it a, let's say,
I'll only pull up the scale.
it's on the management sheet. I didn't have it pulled up. But I would say, excuse me, thin wheat. Maybe a thin wheat.
Thin wheat or wheat thin?
Wheat thins?
Wheat thins. Well, I think Nick put the wheat thins lower, though, because he's a dummy.
Yeah, we gotta rework this a little bit because I'm having second thoughts about Oreos. I don't like them anymore.
Fun fact about Oreos, vegans can eat Oreos because there is no milk in it.
Oh, yeah.
Fun fact.
It's a great diet. Shout out to Drew.
Yeah.
mean, sounds
I
fun.
give it
Alright.
I give it a Nutter Butter.
Nutter
Give it a
butter?
Honey
Okay.
Maid.
Everything is a Nutter Butter.
Honey Maid-
We always give Nutter Butter.
Nutter Butter technically should be higher on this scale because Nutter
I
Butter's
actually
a flame.
never tried a Nutter Butter, so I
Then
don't
you
even
are
know.
wrong.
Oh my God, Danny!
You either
watch
try them or
K-On!
you're
Dub.
wrong.
You don't eat Nutter Butters.
Try them or I am wrong.
You either eat them or you're
Wow.
wrong.
I'm gonna give it a saltine because it's
A saltine?
it's austere, just like the movie.
What the hell?
Dude, you gotta conserve saltines. It's basic,
Serves.
just like these people's lives. I like saltines. I'll eat them. You know.
I mean,
Oh,
I like
yeah.
saltines too. But,
Says the white people.
I
Anyway,
can't
so
get the movie
like
something sugary. You know.
I'd
This
get
movie was more salty than sugary. You know. Does that make sense?
salty. Oh my God.
yeah, no, but so what about you guys though? Is there anything that you take away from it, or whether you rated an Oreo or a Triscuit?
I rated a Honey Maid.
That's what I'm saying.
Between like a Honey Maid and a Teddy Graham, or if you want to spice things up a bit, Honey Maid and Wheat Thins, sweet and salty.
Sweet and
So-
salty.
Telling you, I have the correct Nabisco ranking.
Are you
in
kidding
this
me?
one.
No, you
the
don't.
fans will back me
No,
up.
you don't.
Saltines in this corner of the world. It's like peanut butter and jelly right there. Boom.
It's like
Well,
peanut butter and jelly right there. Boom.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I guess like my final thought on it is that it's a well-made film. In the beginning, like my first time around watching it, like I didn't really know how to feel about it. But then the second time, I really watched it, even though it was dubbed, but I kind of understood it better when I was watching it in English, so I appreciated it a little bit more. And the imagery that they used, especially when it came to like the right amount of time to use paint, like someone drawing out the scene and everything like that. I thought that was really well done. So
Yeah. Yep. I agree. So
Yeah.
So
So,
what do
as
we
far
s-
as my final thoughts,
okay, yeah, go. Oh yeah, sorry. I
course,
thought you...
rudely cuts me.
Sorry, because you said saltine. I thought you were not. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, but like I said before, I'm a big slice of life fan. This movie isn't like super. It doesn't have like the same types of highs as other movies. Like
Mhm.
it's not doesn't have the glitz and glamour and the flash and all that. But it's ordinary. You know, it's about the little moments. You know, and that's what I like. I really like anime that show the little moments because, you know, we all have that every day. You know, you wake up, you do something. It's like your routine,
right.
and you know, it just feels real. It feels like relatable. And I like how the characters weren't drawn to be like sexy. They weren't like the anime characters of the other movies we were mentioning. They were, you know, they were cartoons. They were, you know, they were an imaginary, you know, dream world, child's drawing type characters. And then like I liked the contrast of that with the war a little bit, you know. So I don't know. I think this movie's going to be a classic. I think it's already, like, you could say it's already a classic, even though it doesn't make sense because you got to wait enough time.
It's definitely a movie that people should definitely watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
I would recommend it to pretty much everybody, actually.
I would too. Yeah.
Except for like little kids, they're not going to like it. But like anybody who's an adult. So yeah, like, yeah. Again, I just think it's a classic. I think it'll be remembered years from now as like, oh, you got to watch this from this year. This came out, boom, put it in.
It'll hold up. Yeah, it'll hold up. I think that's important. I think longevity, and especially in anime films, are important because they're films. You know what I mean? It's like, you want to go back and watch the Super Mario Brothers live action? Yeah, let's go watch it. It's like.
All right, let's get drunk and stoned first before we watch it.
Yeah. But anyway, we hope you enjoyed that. In This Corner of the World is a cool film. I think you all should watch it. But before you watch it, though, you should do some of these things I'm about to tell you. You should follow us on Twitter at Anime Summit, and then follow Nick at Blind Freeman. Follow Danny. I don't remember her Twitter because it's either one or the other, and I never fucking remember it. And then mine's at Phantasmagistera, and you should tweet at me and say, Sam, Danny's Twitter is this, you whore. And then you should follow us on, you should subscribe. Any podcast app you use, iTunes, whatever, you should sub a lub-a-dub, everybody in the tub. And then you should subscribe to the YouTube channel because you just should, because we do other stuff there. And you should subscribe to Anime Summit Extra because we do other stuff there. And then you can find the link in the Discord in those descriptions, and you can come hang out with us and talk to Nick and talk to Danny, and talk to Quokka, even though he never answers because he's out being a sexpat in South Korea. Anyway,
South Korea, not North Korea.
Yeah, he's
North Korea.
They wouldn't let him in.
He's being a POW in North Korea.
Anyway.
That doesn't make sense. Never mind.
Let us, you know what, too? Like, do more of this, okay? Please. If you're on our Discord or you're on Twitter and you follow at Anime Summit and me, Nick, or Danny, you should tweet at us and be like, hey, Anime Summit, why don't you guys do a topic on this? Because I want to hear an in-depth discussion about why striped panties are so popular in hentai. For me, I have no idea. They just are, okay?
They add volume.
Yeah, if you guys have any topic discussions that you want us to talk about on the Anime Summit podcast, then please shout it out.
Yes, and I want to give a special shout out to a commenter on our YouTube on Anime Summit Extra named Millery, who was like, hey, thanks for uploading this Dragon Ball FighterZ video because I don't want to watch other people play it because they're just going to play it too good and I'm not going to understand what's going on. Thank God I suck enough for you to enjoy the display I displayed on there. And you know what? If you have suggestions for games that you want us to play on there, or games that you think we'll love and you just want to watch us play it, tell us. And me and Danny are going to put on some more Sam's Waifu Fight Nights on there soon, so you should go there. Anyway, that being said, enough filleting Anime Summit dick. Take it away, Nick. I'm a rapper now.
I got nothing, man.
No, you're supposed to. You did the intro, so you're supposed to.
Oh. Outro.
I can't believe you did that again. Like, you fucking forgot. Like, I told you this. Like, you did the intro, so you gotta do the outro. Oh my god. Let's just record that.